All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Pokemon. We've got a lot to discuss today, including the post by Metazoo Games, essentially announcing that Metazoo is for sale in this bankruptcy process, the physical product and the IP. Then we've got hundreds of new pages added to the court case today. This was essentially the day that we've been waiting for, where all the financial information, or at least the majority of it, would be added to the case, and we can get a better understanding of what happened to this company. So we're going to go over that. But we're going to start with the post from Metazoo themselves today, because there's some interesting stuff in that post. So they say, as you may be aware, Metazoo Games LLC, the debtor, filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy relief on May 20th, 2024 in the United States Bankruptcy Court for the Southern District of New York, case number 2410874 JPM. Albert Togut is the Chapter 7 interim trustee, the trustee of the debtor. The trustee is soliciting offers for the purchase of substantially all of the debtor's assets, including all inventory and intellectual property owned by the debtor. So again, this is for everything and the IP. The debtor's assets, but excluding causes of action in favor of the debtor and its estate. To be completely honest with you guys, I'm not entirely sure what that part means. That would probably be better explained by a lawyer like Umu. The debtor's assets will be sold as is, where is. Now, this is an important part. And purchasers will be expected to coordinate and transfer the cost of retrieval, including the accrued storage cost. So that number that you saw from Golden earlier this year, where they put the lien on the Metazoo product and they were going to have that big auction, that $56,000, you would be paying the trustee to buy the IP and the physical product, but to get the product from Golden, you're going to have to pay that fee for Metazoo. So if you're looking to make an offer, which I am, you got to take that into consideration. So you're going to have to pay that on top of whatever you pay for Metazoo. And then they say, wherever located and to satisfy the cost of retrieval and accrued storage costs, the trustee will consider offers for less than all of the debtor's assets, only if such offers are higher and better than alternative offers for substantially all of the debtor's assets. And it says, if you're interested, contact so-and-so, and then it gives their email. So let's get into this. Based on everything that I learned today, I am interested in making an offer on this. Do I think it's actually going to happen? Probably not. My offer's pretty low, but based on what we're learning here, I don't think you're going to want to risk a lot of money on this. My offer would probably be around, well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but let's talk about what we learned in these court documents. So a big one that a lot of people were wondering, Metazoo's income and revenue. In 2022, they made $21 million. In 2023, they made $7 million, so a pretty substantial drop. I mean, literally cut into a third. And then in 2024, but it's only from January to now, so half the year, and they were effectively shut down, $437,000. Now, I really wish that 2021 were listed on here, because I believe that was their biggest year, but I also believe 2021 to 2022 would be a pretty substantial drop-off, but you can see the slow decline of the company as it goes. What we don't know is how that money was spent, because we don't have that financial information yet. Maybe we will, maybe we won't get that. But let's talk about the actual debt. So we also, in addition to the income, learned about the total amount of debt that essentially broke this company. And maybe it's still incomplete, because some of the information on there didn't really include some of those bigger names that were listed on the creditor list. But they have the number at 1,000 to 5,000 individual creditors. The total number for the debt is $1.7 million. But this is interesting, because in the documents, it says only 1.5. Okay, so the 1.5 million is unsecured creditors. So these are like the people with pre-orders. These are not major corporations. These are like their bottom of the list, low priority, unlikely to get paid back. So the majority of their debt are people that essentially the court doesn't care as much if they get paid back, and they are considered low priority. So most of their debt, 1.5 million of the 1.7, is considered low priority. Now the high priority, the secured, is only about $200,000, which is interesting, because if you look at that, $150,000 of that 200-odd thousand is to Shopify. The other $56,000 of that $200,000 is to Golden. It's to or Hobby is the other name of it. But that's the storage cost. That's the cost of storing all that physical product that Metazoo held on to through this process. So $1.5 million, the court might expect to not even get paid back. In fact, they probably think or consider it unlikely that that's going to get paid back through this process. Realistically, only the $150,000 to Shopify is their priority to get paid back. So the only way that you guys, and I'm actually on the list of creditors. They had most of these hundreds of pages were just individual names and numbers of all the people that had pre-orders. That's what most of these pages were. And I sorted through them to kind of give you guys the most important pieces, because I'm sure you guys didn't want to look through. I think there was like 600 total pages today. But anyway, most of them were just individuals with smaller dollar amount pre-orders. They're likely not going to get paid back. So the way this works is whoever makes an offer to buy this product, I'm assuming the highest offer just wins. So whether that number is $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, I don't think anyone is, I'll just say it, I don't think anyone is going to come in and offer $1.7 million. I don't think anyone's going to come in and offer $1 million. So that right there would suggest that the majority of this is not going to get paid back, and they probably know that, and they probably expect that. I think the offers are going to be closer to $100,000, and that would be in the range that my offer is. But you got to consider the fact that they have it listed that there's $3.4 million of product being stored that you would get in this transaction. Again, I don't think it's worth that. I think that's probably like original market value. It's tough because I feel like we don't have enough information yet. I would want to make an offer on this, and I did contact the trustee, but there's so much that we still don't know. We don't have a real itemized inventory list of what do we get if we make an offer and buy this. I don't want to just see 500 pallets. I want to know what's in every single pallet. What booster box is here? What booster box is there? Is this pallet spellbooks what? I want to know with the pallets of skateboards, what skateboards are in which pallet and how many pallets are Nightfall, how many pallets are Cryptid Nation. And with the promos and the grails and all these things, I would need an itemized inventory list so that, because there's so much sketchy stuff that has happened with Metazoo that seems to have happened with Shaw. If you were to buy this, you would want to have a checklist to go through and make sure they're not keeping a box of grails. They're not keeping a pallet of like first edition or something valuable. You want to make sure that when you go and get this stuff, if you buy it, you get every single thing they have, but we don't have an inventory list. We don't know what the promos are that are in the boxes of promos. We don't know what the booster boxes are that are in the hundreds of pallets. We don't know what the skateboards are that are in those pallets. We don't know what grails do they have, what loose cards do they have, what Kickstarter do they have, what sample cards do they have. We need an itemized list before anybody makes a real offer on this, because I think likely it's going to be someone from the community that makes an offer that's going to buy this thing, to be completely honest with you guys. After seeing some of this stuff, I don't think the odds are great that a major company is going to come in and buy this thing. I think it's going to be one of us. So another interesting thing that I found here, a breakdown of the owners of Metazoo and the ownership percentages. So Mike Waddell is the majority owner still, or up until the very end, with 45.5%. And this DJ millionaire kid is Steve Aoki with 45%. So Mike was majority owner over Steve Aoki, but it wasn't quite 50-50. Now, an interesting thing here is that Victor Larson had 1% ownership. He was an artist, and he actually had 1% ownership of Metazoo. Seb Botello had 0.1% ownership, and some guy named Craig had 5%. So that's kind of the breakdown of the Metazoo ownership. And I didn't know that any artist actually had ownership in the company, so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, these are kind of the important points that came out today. There's a lot more, but this is kind of the stuff that I really wanted to hit on and I really thought was crucial for you guys to know now. But yeah, I want to buy Metazoo based on what we've learned here. I think the number would probably be low and would probably be enough for me and my potential partner, Umu, to make a really reasonable offer, but we would need to know what we're actually getting, and we still don't really know that to make an actual informed offer. So hopefully sometime soon the trustee either gets back to me or updated on the court case is a nice itemized inventory list of what we're actually getting. But you guys got to think about it, man. How worth it is this really to go through this whole process? Because when you're talking about hundreds of pallets, you're going to have to pay whatever amount of money to just buy it, to buy the IP and to buy the physical product. So let's say $100,000, which is a lot for any one person, $100,000 to buy the whole company. Then immediately on top of that, you're going to have to pay the $56,000 to the warehouse to pick up the product. And assuming you don't own an 18-wheeler truck, you're going to have to pay to get all of those pallets shipped, which probably could be close to $100,000 to ship hundreds and hundreds of pallets. It could be up there. And then on top of that, you're going to have a warehouse to store all that shit. And hundreds of pallets is a lot. I think the total number is somewhere like 700 total pallets of all things combined. It's a lot of space. Now, I'm sure you could go and show up and just say, I want this. And this is why you would need an itemized list. You could say, all these pallets of UFO spell books or whatever, it's not worth the storage space to me. And you could probably just throw a lot of that shit away if you don't want to pay to store it. You could just say, I'm not taking all of it. I want this, this, and this, and I'm going to pay to store this, this, and this. You guys can just do whatever with the rest of it. So you could probably pick and choose what you actually want to take and store, but you would have to get a warehouse and pay to store it. And then if you intended to sell this stuff to try to make your investment back, at least in the immediate future, you'd have to hire someone, unless you had the free time to do it, to ship out all this stuff. So you would have payroll, warehouse storage, you'd have to pay the $56,000, you'd have your initial $100,000 investment, and then maybe when you're done, going through what you bought and making your money back, then you got to decide what to do with the IP. Are you going to hire a team? Are you going to come out with a new set? Are you going to pay printers to make a new set? Are you going to try to hire artists? What are you going to do with the IP, if anything? So there's a lot of moving gears to this whole thing that would suggest to me that whoever's looking at buying this, when they say make an offer to the trustee, I think the offer could be low. I think it could even be less than $100,000. That would be the number to sell this, because when you think of all the things that the buyer is going to have to do after this that are just going to be a total nightmare. I mean, the logistics of this, especially if you live like me, I live in Ohio, the logistics of moving what I believe is the majority of that inventory at Golden in California, cross-country, pallets to Ohio, finding a new warehouse, although warehouse space is a lot cheaper, in Ohio than either New York or California. Logistically, it seems like a nightmare. But, like I said, the warehouse space is cheaper, so it could be doable. But it's and we also there's just so many things we don't know about the inventory. Like Shaw talked about how there's inventory at all these different locations. What inventory exists that's not just at Golden? So yeah, you pay the $56,000, you get what Golden has, but what other Metazoo product exists that's not just at Golden? Are there grails stored off-site? Are there other products scattered throughout the country? Or are you only getting here what's at Golden and essentially just paying Metazoo's storage fees to get it? I don't know. I feel like there's still unanswered questions there that you would need to know before you made a serious offer on this. But very big update today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Should I buy it? Should I make an offer? We should maybe have this conversation. Are there members of the Metazoo community that would want to partner up on this deal? And we could figure out, a percentage of ownership. You put X amount of money down to make an offer with me or with me and Umu, and you put X amount of money down and you say, I just want all the wilderness and I'll put this amount of money down. We could agree to that before we get all the product. Or you could say, whatever, maybe there's just one thing that you want. I want the skateboards or whatever, and I would give you $10,000 investment to have all the skateboards. We could do something like that. Let me know your ideas in the comments down below. Things are about to get interesting. Like and subscribe for more. Nick Strength and Pokemon signing out.